What's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we are taking a look at the Dallas Stars. We have some interesting little rumors coming down from the Lone Star State as the Dallas Stars. We have an update on John Klingberg, a little bit of a change from what we heard earlier this year. Alexander Radulov, no longer a part of the Stars organization. He goes back to Russia. We're going to go over that as well, and the latest on the coaching search, a name that you've probably been a little bit familiar with, so we'll be going over that as well. So let's start off with the coaching search. So the big rumor we've been hearing is the Dallas Stars have been linked and apparently interviewed former Vancouver Canucks head coach Travis Green. Well, there is a little bit of a connection here. Travis Green coached against the Dallas Stars in what was the bubble Western Conference Finals in 2020. You guys remember that, right? When Demko kind of took over for the Canucks and led them all the way to the Western Conference Final, where they ultimately lost to the Dallas Stars. Travis Green was the head coach of the Canucks at that time. With Rick Bowness kind of up and outing out of Dallas, Travis Green has been the big name we've heard. We've heard some other names out there. We've heard Rick Tackett's name thrown in there, which I do think would be a strong fit as well. But I thought Travis Green being interviewed was definitely an interesting one. We've also heard Claude Julien's looking into the market to see what's out there. Barry Trotz as well, but I think he's kind of down to Vegas or Winnipeg at this point, if I'm being truly honest. But there is some connections there. So if you're a Dallas Stars fan, or even if you're not, let me know what you guys think. Who should be the next head coach of the Dallas Stars to replace Rick Bowness? Because this is kind of an interesting situation in Dallas. And as a head coach myself, I'd be wondering, well, what is the direction of this team? Is this an attractive option? As some of that core is starting to age. The latest on Klingberg, what's going on there? Radulov leaving. Is this a stock that's going to go up? Or is this a stock that's going down and maybe you don't want to put yourself in that tailspin, right? So you have to look at it in that perspective as well. So let's talk about Radulov. So Alexander Radulov is back in the Continental Hockey League over in Russia, playing in the KHL, that league that the NHL does not want to talk about. This is from 365 Fans. Alexander Radulov has signed a deal with Akbars Kazan to make him the highest paid player in the KHL. Alexander Radulov is heading to Russia. So that's it for the Radulov project in his renaissance return to the National Hockey League to North America. He started off as a Nashville Predators prospect who played in the NHL. He ended up going back overseas to the KHL, spent some time there. He ended up coming back to the States to play with the Montreal Canadiens. It was a little bit of a bidding war. He ends up going to Montreal. He inevitably signs just a year or two later with Dallas, plays a couple seasons in Dallas, and that is all she wrote. He returns back to the KHL. A pretty big loss for the Dallas Stars. A guy that was featured in the top six for a long time, but you know what? I think it was kind of a mutual parting between him and the Dallas Stars. It was kind of like, where's your production been lately from Dallas's side? And maybe him saying, oh, I'm going to get more money and I'm probably going to get a bigger role in the KHL. I'm returning home. And that's kind of what happened. I think it was just it was the inevitable thing. But now Radulov is officially back in the KHL. So that is it for that reclamation project. And you know what? I think it gives more time for maybe some of the younger guys in Dallas's system to kind of get more ice time. I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing for the Dallas Stars. And then the other thing we have to discuss here today before I close out is John Klingberg. So remember in December last year when John Klingberg was like, yeah, I think I want to be traded out of Dallas and I really don't want to resign. Well, apparently things have changed very quickly in the past 6 or 7 months, as according to Taylor Bard, John Klingberg hopes to re-sign with the Dallas Stars this offseason. Very interesting how that just completely changed in 6 or 7 months when there was some really bad contract negotiations between the Dallas Stars and John Klingberg and his camp. Well, that's not apparently the case anymore. He wants to stay in Dallas, and just like that, it sounds like we will probably see an extension. Again, I do think at this point, considering the circumstance, I think he will see what's available in the free agency market. And if there's something that really flatters him and there's an offer maybe underneath the table that he can't refuse, maybe he does still leave the Dallas Stars. But there is that growing suspicion that he does return to Dallas, and that would be huge for them, especially looking at this blue line. That would be a huge loss to them if they did lose John Klingberg. I know fans have been kind of back and forth with it because it's like, well, he's a good defenseman, but he doesn't want to play here. He's not necessarily the best defensively, kind of like the Chris Letang effect in Pittsburgh. But I do think John Klingberg could likely return to Dallas, which is kind of a shocking new revelation here in this saga, which, like I said, 6 or 7 months ago, even as soon as the trade deadline, it looked like he was going to leave Dallas. And here we are just a couple months later, and he may end up returning to the Lone Star State. So that is it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think on some topics. What do you guys think of Radulov leading? Who do you think could jump into that top 6 for the Dallas Stars to get some more ice time? John Klingberg, do you want him to stay? Are you okay with him going? Let me know your thoughts on that. And of course, who should be the next head coach of the Dallas Stars? Let me know. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and let's go Stars.